Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Growthentic podcast. You've got myself and Shane Chalupa.
Yeah, hey everybody, welcome in. We've got a really valuable session ahead. This is a technical flow today where first half, myself, I'm going to be presenting you on some basics around the 4P framework for AI adoption and integration within your life and business. And then we also talk about the AI success recipe, which is a couple of key ingredients to make sure you're leveraging and utilizing and getting the most out of AI, and all those frustrations that you're having, those hallucinations, random off subject responses that you're getting. We can turn that down, dial that down, hone you in so that way you're getting focused, valuable, important outputs that are absolutely gold for you to save time, accelerate your work. And then in the second half, Sam is going to lead us through Notebook LM, which is a really great segue from my session into one of the many tools out there that we love to use. And he's going to specifically walk us through a use case where we've got a lot of data and we can extract a ton of information from live reviews on G2 for a example company here, Webflow, that we're going to run through. And Sam gets us through that and gets some really powerful insights of not only considering the historic keywords, but now where things are going in the future with AI SEO. So you're going to want to make sure you stay till the end. We got some really great little pieces and nuggets to share there and to help really grow your SEO presence and the outputs that you're doing to really wow your clients and provide maximum amount of value to them in this new and ever-changing landscape with AI and just rapid development in general. So we hope you enjoy it, and give us a subscribe or a like, and look forward to future sessions to come as well.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Hey, Shane.
All right. Hey, Sam. How's it going?
It's going well, man. How are you doing today?
Great. Welcome to Friday. It's been, it's been a week. I feel like every week is like that, but especially now with the end of summer coming in and trying to get everything wrapped up. Also noticed, be interesting to get your take on it, but definitely seems like a little bit of an August lull with activity around the services, the client side. Everybody's like on vacation. They got their eyes fixed on kids going back to school, whether it was this week or next week or the following. So it's like there's just a lot of different energies going on right now, I feel like, and kind of excited to get everybody back in school, get everybody back to their normal routine, and finish up all those vacations for the summer, and then kind of let's start making some hay here.
I'm actually feeling that same exact thing. It was a productive week in terms of like delivering on work within our roadmap with respective clients. But as far as like hearing back from prospects or um, not that not to say that none of my clients aren't engaged, but you can kind of feel that hey, they're either coming back from vacation, they're kind of slowing things down for a few weeks. They're parents too. So, um, yeah, I've seen some parents just being out for a few days because their kids got sick. So, definitely feeling that it's not just, you thinking or feeling that way. But it's been nice, to take that quiet time to build new things, to work on other areas of the business. You know this better than anyone else. There is always something that you can be doing to optimize a certain area of your business. So yeah, it's been quite a productive week from my end, though, for sure.
Nice. Yeah. Love to hear that. Yeah. It's always, I don't know if you've ever had this mindset where when you're kind of in this initial growing phase and building the business, you just feel like you're never doing enough. And it's like, you just want to build everything and get it to the final product and have all the clients engage, all your, go through the sales process, get people enrolled and engaged with you. And it's like, a lot of times I feel myself stepping back and being like, okay, what were the wins for the week, and what were the, it's more of like these small little steps over time that accumulate when you look back over the course of the month and the quarters and the year. But man, it's yeah, it's definitely a different pace as opposed to I feel like on the other side where when you're kind of more in corporate or you have a distinct role, no matter what that role is, and you're working for somebody else and they're giving you a set amount of work, you get that work done, you have your checklist, boom, 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 and you kind of feel that sense of gratification. But when you're out on your own and it's kind of like blue ocean territory, there's no guiding pathway, there's no metrics. Like you have to set all that up to hold yourself accountable, and so it can be a totally different feeling. I've noticed on my side at least.
Yeah, just kind of not you know not on such a serious note. I don't know if you noticed, but like there was one day where I think Monday.com, their server was down for a little while,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think it was on a Monday, ironically,
yeah,
like first thing Monday morning, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't have my to-do list. I feel absolutely lost, and my mind and my energy can go in so many different directions right now. Um, Kind of just a funny joke, but in all seriousness, like having that to-do list for me is by far one of the most important things each and every day because I can get so scatterbrained and want to do so many things. I mean, the shiny object syndrome happens way too often within one day. And so I need to kind of reel myself in every single day and focus on like the top tasks. And then, of course, take these moments to like review the week and say, damn, like it was a really good week. Although there's
yeah.
probably so many more things I wanted to do, it still was a phenomenal week.
Yep, yep, yep. I feel the same, and I think that's a good segue into today's session and the podcast here. I can actually present, and we can get a little bit visual with this today. And I'm excited because we're going to have our two-parter. I'm going to throw down here for about, I don't know, between 10 and 20 minutes, let's call it. And my focus being on the kind of AI enablement side and really practical, tangible day to day usage of AI and letting that accelerate and really free up a lot of time and energy in your life by essentially giving you a team of pseudo people, right, of AI support that can be those superstar teammates for you to get things advanced so you can come in, step in at that kind of 80% point, take it across the finish line, do all the checks, and make sure you love it before you actually send it out and save yourself a lot of time and energy, increase your speed. So that's what I'm all about. And I'm going to hop into today's lesson, which I've kind of got two things I want to go through in a whiteboard fashion. So I'm going to present my screen here for those of you listening in. I'm going to try and describe it as we go. But let's see if this will work here. No. Okay. We should see a kind of whiteboard coming up here, which is my OneNote. And I'm going to sketch out a few things here as I talk. So, first thing today I want to talk through, and
Shane,
yep.
just 1 second. I'm not seeing your screen right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hold on. It's like all these different platforms. They all have like a different, Zoom. It's like you got to click present twice and all these fun things. I don't know. All right. Can you see it on your side now?
No, not yet.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
it got me.
see.
I remember my first time trying to share a screen. I was completely lost in
Yeah.
Riverside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a little different interface than we're used to. Um, let's just try doing it this way.
I wonder if I need to give you access to share the
Let me try
screen.
sharing one more thing here, and then we'll see. Now, if I share, hopefully you'll see here in a second. Just a generic background,
Yep, one
Windows
second. It's
background.
loading up. It's loading up right now.
Okay.
It's just pinwheeling, but sure it'll pop up soon. It's taking a little longer than I would
Than
expect.
usual, and
Yeah.
I can just go through it verbally as well. That's not a problem. So, you know what I'll do? We'll do this. I'm gonna put it over here on my screen. I'm gonna get my little digital tablet out here, and then if it doesn't come out, then that's fine. No big deal. And if it does come in, great. And we'll just keep rocking and rolling. And I'll just I'll talk. And then if it comes in, great. If not, then we can always redo it at some point, but it won't be a big deal. All right. So a few things here. Let me, whoops, get my pen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a few things that I wanted to go through today are one, the kind of mindset around AI. So for everybody out there, there is no doubt that AI is going to impact and is probably already impacting your life and business. And you really have a choice right now for that to be a positive kind of augmenter and enabler for you to what I call a super tool. Like, it's incredible what we can do. And the mindset piece around this is really looking at whatever you're trying to do. You have a problem. So I like to start with the first P. In you've got something that you need to solve. And so when that thing, a task at work or something creeps up at home, personal life, whatever, once you have a problem, the next step is right now to go to AI and really start planning what it is that you're trying to do. So I find myself doing this often where I might not even know where to start on something. The dishwasher broke. What do I do next? I'm trying to do something for marketing that is completely out of my normal wheelhouse. I'm trying to learn something new, or I'm trying to go into programming and troubleshooting on my laptop or something that I'm starting to get into here. If I don't even know where to start, I'll go to AI and just say, hey, this is the world we're living in. I need you to be this person, the expert in this area. You're a dishwasher repair technician expert in specializing in GE dishwashers. And the basin's not going to drain, or it's not draining right now. We left it overnight, ran the cycle, and I got a bunch of water in the bottom. What do we do next? And then it's going to help come up with a game plan. And then it's going to help you execute that. So it's going to start giving you steps. So we use it to plan the work. We then use it to perform the work. And so obviously, if it's something physical, it can only give you so many steps to actually perform that work. But if it's something digital, like you're creating a deliverable or creating a database or a spreadsheet or a presentation, right? We want to go and actually leverage AI to build out the outline for that presentation coming up for your business metric results for the quarter or whatever the month, whatever the case is, right? We want to synthesize it, create the outline, have it interview you, get all the content extracted out of your brain. And then if I was doing a presentation, I would use another AI app like Gamma, or now I am starting to investigate Copilot in the Microsoft realm. And I know Gemini in the Google realm is probably going to be there if it's not already for Google Slides. So no more building presentations from scratch, right? Like we're past that. We don't need to waste hours and hours creating those presentations. We need to focus on getting the information out of your brain into the best format to engage your audience. Leave the AI to actually build out the presentation, get it 80% of the way there, clean it up, touch it up, and then you're good to go. So we're going to use it to, we start with the problem. We're going to use AI to plan the work or even help you kind of frame up what the problem is if you don't even know where you're at. And then we're going to use it to perform the work. And then the next step is we want to use it to monitor the performance and also quality check the outputs. So I'm going to just label this as performance. And there's a few steps in here.
Sorry to cut you off there, Shane. The screen share is not working, so if you want to just
Okay,
get rid of that. And yeah, I
cool.
think just hearing you talk about this, it does resonate with me. Hopefully, it does with the audience, and they can always reach out for the
Yeah.
visual aid.
Yeah,
But
I've
yeah,
got this created. I've got other visual aids from the past. So let me just button this up here real quick. And it's okay because it's actually helped me think through it as I'm talking through it. So, and yeah, we can share this visual with anybody. But basically, the last step here. So we went through, we've got a problem. You got something that you want to solve or do or complete. Then you want to use AI to plan the work. You want to use AI to perform the heavy lifting of the work. And then the last step is performance. So I call this kind of the 4 Ps of AI integration into your kind of business and life. And that fourth P, performance, is really about looking at a few things. One is quality check. So take your output, and before you make your final product, throw it through another LLM, throw it through a new chat with a different prompt. So if you're sending a proposal out to a client, create a prompt. Hey, you are a large manufacturing organization, multinational, you've got X number of employees, you're branded for this. If you know who the client is and you have their like website and credential, like sure, your website and information, put in kind of a little market research on them. Hey, you are the person who's in charge of reviewing this proposal. It's an SEO proposal for this, this, and this. Review it from the client's perspective. Give me their top questions, their top objections, what's unclear about my proposal, and give me suggested edits and improvements so that way this proposal is hands down the best proposal they're going to get in their hands. And where I've seen this leveraged and successful is we'll take our proposals, we'll put them through that, and then I've now started adding an FAQ section at the end of the proposal based upon this. So I take that proposal, run it through with a new prompt, and then say, hey, review it, give me your questions, and then write me up an FAQ section we can attach to the end of the proposal. So now we're starting to head off questions, objections, things like that with the proposal. And it just accelerates that whole timeline. Like, so now the client is like, oh, I have questions. We don't have to really, I love to meet and talk through it and really get into the logistics. But at the end of the day, as soon as they're at the end of that proposal and they're thinking like, I have these questions, boom, hopefully the FAQs or the Q&A at the end is like answering all those. So they're like, okay, I'm clear on that. I'm clear on that. And it's amazing how putting it through that way, it kind of extracts the scope and puts it in a different perspective. So that way, even for me creating the proposal, it really helps like be like, oh yeah, that's right, we are only including this, or nope, that is excluded explicitly. Like it really just gives it this nice texture, feel, personality almost to the proposal. And so that's kind of an example of leveraging AI to then do this final kind of performance check on whatever your output is. So we do performance kind of made of two parts. So that's kind of a quality and performance check. And then the other part is if you are doing something repeatedly, right, and you have metrics, then I also think about it as quality in the sense of how is our performance doing in our metrics. So we can have it create a KPI dashboard. That dashboard can get updated regularly, or it can just summarize data from whatever information, a post webinar survey, we can throw it in, get the outputs, see what our performance was. And we kind of just looping that over and over and over in our brains and leveraging AI to do that. Of course, right now, I'm using my toolkit is Perplexity for research, always. There's a cool way to do automated tasks in Perplexity to run research reports at whatever frequency you want, which is nice. I find that the outputs are just better in general, more applicable and peer reviewed, better resources. We've got ChatGPT 5 now, or GPT in general, but with 5, I've actually, counter to most sentiment out there, I find ChatGPT 5, especially in thinking mode, to be pretty dialed in. The benchmarking tests show and prove that, especially for STEM related activities. So things where ChatGPT was historically pretty weak, in my opinion, engineering calculations, researching and analysis of kind of detailed data and metrics specific to running calculations that we see in engineering, as well as kind of the reasoning to go out and get good reference information. To me, there's been a step change there, and it's now going and finding really good resources if I'm giving it really good prompts. I think where a lot of people are seeing kind of the breakdown, and I had a discussion with somebody about this earlier this week, of like, dude, like ChatGPT 5, it's like giving me bad answers now. And like, it's hallucinating. It's going off the rails. And I said, well, I think let's go back to the prompt. If you may have to change the way that you prompt in order to interact with the new model. And for me, I haven't had to change that, but my prompting methodology is always very structured, very methodical in the way that it's done. And I found that GPT-5 is accepting that and giving me really good outputs. Like it's doing things that are kind of blowing me away, finding reference data, resources for what it's doing and the steps it's doing as far as calculations or preliminary information data gathering. It's really, really gotten a lot stronger. But the key takeaway here is your prompt is everything. It has to be dialed and it has to be strong. And if it's not, it could really maybe go off in tangents and send you in directions you don't want to go. But that's a little aside right now. So 4 P's of AI adoption and implementation. You got a problem, use AI to help you frame that problem, turn that into a plan, use it to create the plan on how you're going to execute it, like a marketing strategy or whatever campaign, so many different things. And then we're going to move from there into performing the heavy lifting. And then the last is performance. Let's check the quality. Use it as a peer checker, as a third party perspective, expert, kind of to check whatever it is result you're getting. Just keep running it through until you get something that you really like and you're happy with. And then you can check it from there, take it that last 10, 20%, get it over the finish line. So that's kind of the first framework I wanted to go through, get people thinking about when to integrate AI and how to integrate it. And the next one we're going to go through, I think we got a few more minutes here for my section, is the next part I'm going to call is the recipe for working with AI. Again, this is not for me trying to portray as some deep AI data scientists, deep learning, machine learning, all these other branches. This is practical, everyday AI. Somebody goes, you get the plus version of ChatGPT, $20 a month on your phone, and you want to improve your life. That's where I sit. How do I leverage this every day to do things faster and make my life easier so I can focus my time and energy on the things that really matter? And from that perspective, I have a recipe here. There's really 3 main constituents in that recipe that are always going to come up that are kind of foundational. The first piece being prompt. So your prompt, we talked about it just a little bit ago, is the prompt is so important. There are lots of different ways. If anybody wants, I have a custom GPT that's out there for free, and you can utilize it to build your prompt kind of on the fly, and it will just ask you questions in order to get a dialed in, consistently formatted prompt that you can then put in and expect pretty good results out from that. So it just is like an accelerator instead of having to run the algorithm in your mind every time. It's just more Q&A based until it gets to where it kicks you out that prompt. Then if you have prompts that you like, that you use all the time, you're like, this is bomb, create yourself a little database, whether it's in monday.com, Notion, Excel file, Google Sheet, Google Doc. Create your little prompt library and start holding on to that, because that's going to be really important. Next up, once you have that dialed in, we can start talking about custom projects. So in all the different LLMs, they have these different names for them. So you have projects, I think, inside of ChatGPT, and Claude, you have custom projects. In Copilot, they have notebooks now, and Microsoft is really going off the rails with everything in Copilot. They're calling them, you can build agents, they're calling them, which are really just custom projects in a sense. Gemini, same thing. I'm not sure what Gems, I think they're called. Notebook LLM, that one's pretty easy because you just have notebooks. But all these things are like containers, and you're really focusing the model on what you want it to do. And so inside of that project lives 2 main elements. And this is true whether you're using just the simple user interface or if you're doing some more deeper kind of AI automated work, these pieces hold true. So one is, once you have the container of a custom project, I'll call it, or a project, could also be a custom GPT in ChatGPT. Once you have the container, we need to give it custom instructions or instructions to tell it its role, what it's doing. I think about the personality that it needs to have, as well as any important information about the outputs, the processing, subtle steps, important things that you need it to know. Next up after that is you need to load in knowledge base. The more context and information you can upload and give it good examples, labeled bad examples, templates, how to's, guides, step by step instructions for it into its knowledge base, it then becomes almost like a machine that runs through those and leverages that as the foundational element. Now, if you have it set up, like if you don't want to use the internet like web search and have it referencing other information, calculation methodologies, all of that, Notebook LM is great. Or in some of the different instances for these projects, you can actually go in and toggle off the web search. So I think ChatGPT now and Claude allow you to turn off web search. And so you're literally the model is just going to run on the data that you put into the knowledge base and then give you outputs based on that. So that's important, because if you have a lot of information and you want to just focus on that and not worry about what else is going on out on the web about this topic, then you handle it that way. I like Notebook LM best for that, because you can also then visualize it. You can do a podcast summary of it. You can do now a video summary of it. It's wild. So Notebook LM is awesome, but in all of these cases, it comes back to the same recipe: custom instructions to set the role, knowledge base to kind of fill the brain and give it all the information that it needs to reference, and good examples, things that you want it to repeat and kind of replicate. And then inside of those custom projects is going to live your prompts. So you're going to use it for, this is my marketing assistant project. It has all of my best performing marketing material. It has my voice, my tone, all of that. And then you're going to prompt it and be like, hey, help me write a blog post for my website on this topic. And then it's going to start becoming more personalized and focused, instead of just writing some synthetic random thing from just a simple chat. So that's the recipe, and how you kind of move to the next level beyond just simple chats with strong prompts or reusable prompts. You start heading into this custom project world. And that's something that is very, very useful to chew up lots of information or data, or perform repetitive tasks where you want uniform, standardized outputs.
I'm so glad that you brought up the the capability to toggle search and deep research on and off. So I think that's a little detail that is really powerful. Like, where is the large language model of choice going to retrieve and um, run its kind of tokenization? Like, not to get so deep into how it works, but like run its tokenization and probability method to return the response that you're looking for. Understand that you can turn that on and off is so important, and it goes back to like the source material, the knowledge base that you're curating for a specific use case. um, and it's so funny that you brought up Notebook LM, and we'll get to some of the stuff that I want to walk through today, but it's really centered around Notebook LM and why I chose Notebook LM. And question for you is, I think this is going to help me in my kind of operate my usage of Notebook LM. But do you think that framework of prompting, like giving it the context of who it needs to be, obviously what you're trying to do, but maybe even like the why of what we're trying to do, and maybe asking it to ask you questions to perform the task really well. Do you think that is necessary in a Notebook LM? Whereas in a ChatGPT, I think it totally makes sense because it goes into, I don't know, I feel like the training model there is superior than Notebook LM, which is more just like a controlled container.
I generally, so it depends on the speed that you're looking to do something. So I think in Notebook LM, you can get away with more by just being a little bit more lax about the structure of your prompts because you are already focusing it. That being said, I find that every time I always try and take a shortcut, I usually end up regretting it. And so it's like, again, like the more consistent you are on your input style and giving it a real regiment and being very specific, I think it just gives you better outputs. But I would say in Notebook LM, you can kind of get away with a little bit more than if you were out just on like Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, because yeah, it's so expansive, right? And like it's just searching through all of the information out there on the internet that it's been trained on, and so it's a really wide angle kind of macro shotgun approach as opposed to Notebook LM. You're just literally attaching those files and being like, go through these files for me. So i I wouldn't say that I'm always using my regimented structured prompting within Notebook LM, but I think it certainly won't hurt anything, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And just to review that first part, I mean, I'm a sucker for good alliteration. It seems like everything started with the letter P today. Started with the four P's. What was it? It was a problem, then you create a plan, then
Hmm.
you do the project, and you peer review. Is that the four P's?
Yeah, I like those four P's you came up with. I had it as you have a problem that you start out with, help it frame and digest the problem, then you have it help you, or actually plan the work, then have it perform the work, and then have it check performance. So the fourth P was performance, but yeah, peer check's another good one in there. The way to think about it, but yeah, four P's. It's no longer just like a little search tool like going to Google used to be. It's not just watching a YouTube video on how to do something. Um, because to be honest with you, anything on that's digital, it can pretty much do now. And if it can't, it's going to be able to do that soon, up to and including like programming little, and not even little, but like applications so that you can actually leverage and use in your business to help solve problems. So it's certainly out there to be able to create the plan, execute the plan, and then debug and check performance and monitor and troubleshoot and help on the back end once it's operational. So yeah, it's a full life cycle tool and a true super tool for those of you who are maybe using it or not even using it yet. It's a big unlock.
Awesome. Yeah. So within that framework, then you can layer in, the library of prompts that you are building, or if you have, a contained project or custom GPT, then, you're putting due diligence in crafting up the instructions within those frameworks to ensure that you're getting the best output possible. I love this framework so much. It really resonates with this kind of sentiment right now, where in the beginning, where ChatGPT seemed like just another answer engine, it's
Mm-hmm.
becoming a task engine. It's becoming, a way to get things done rather than getting an answer to an initial question. Of course, that's still inherent in that process, but it's a lot more powerful than just getting from A to B. It's really task oriented.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will attest to that as well. Now, a big thing that is drawing me in with GPT-5 is the being a lot of the folks in the engineering and technical and construction space are in the Microsoft environment. And because of ChatGPT's, I'll call it relationship with Microsoft, now in ChatGPT-5, like you can just have anything you create exported into a Word doc with formatting, and you just can prompt it, and like Excel files with macros, with formulas, with formatting. All of that is now, not only is it going to give you the information and like write the macro, like it's going to build the spreadsheet and then give you a downloadable Excel file. And I've been getting very good results with that. I've been early testing, but creating a cost estimating file from scratch because I was just kind of wanted to test the limits, and it's not, I didn't have it be the most elaborate spreadsheet, but it has linked formulas where you can put in inputs and outputs and get useful outputs from that spreadsheet. So it's like, this is just the beginning of it. And it's gotten way, this has been a step change improvement in my mind compared to what it was in July, where every time you would want to download a Word doc, it would maybe give you a link, and then when you downloaded it, it would be horrible formatting, all of that. Like now it's pretty silky smooth right now, and getting better. So
That's crazy. I know there was a lot of news around um, what people thought were their private conversations on ChatGPT getting shared in search indexes. And I think there was I forget this guy's name or girl's name. Um, they scraped all of those conversations happening and did a really cool thing of like segmenting what the types of conversations um, that were happening were about. Was it people trying to transact and buy something? Was it purely informational, so question-based prompts? But largely based on that subset of data, people were trying to get things done. In most cases, it was coding related, helping to vibe code or debug existing code, um, which totally makes sense. That yes, you can get quick answers and very elaborate contextual answers to your questions, but it's a much more powerful tool than just that. Um, and hopefully, what Shane just presented to you all, motivates you a little bit to identify certain repeatable tasks, or tasks that you just haven't been able to get to because you think it's going to take so much of your time, and implement this framework and that recipe to start chipping away at some level of automation.
yep, 100%. And if anyone has any questions, also feel free to shoot me an email, shane.chalupa@obnovit, obnovit.com, or reach me on the socials, LinkedIn or Instagram, Shane Chalupa, CHALUPA. I've got a few awesome free resources out there, including the aforementioned prompt GPT that will help you just kind of crank out prompts whenever you need something and guide you through that process. It saves a ton of time. I use it probably 10, 15, 20 times a day for one-off prompts and things that I'm doing. So that is out there and available. I've also got a little 2-pager cheat sheet that's a nice little PDF handy just to reference in case you want a visual for everything that we're talking about. And yeah, so feel free to reach out. Happy to engage and share those resources.
Yeah, and I think you're also holding some sessions now, some AI master classes. Do you want to do a quick shout at about who that's for and what people could gain from attending one of those sessions?
Yeah, great point. Thank you for mentioning that. So every Friday now until the last Friday in September, we're going to be running weekly, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time masterclasses. And instead of calling it a webinar, we're going to call it masterclass. And it's really centered around practical AI. I have, been working with a number of companies more on the technical side, engineering, industrial related, construction, fabrication, all of that. So, I'm going to also be leveraging and using a lot of examples from my work, specifically around engineering and technical. But anybody is free to join. And what I've found is that people in all different businesses can benefit from this, both personal and in business. So these skills are just kind of skills that everybody's going to have going into the future, unless you're about to retire and kind of head off into the sunset. There is, if you're out there thinking AI doesn't apply to my business. I don't. It doesn't really matter what business you're in. AI does matter. I can guarantee you that. I've been in enough sessions with enough really, really high level people, as well as diversified business owners from all different walks and fashion. Everything from massage therapist and medical, dental, HVAC, construction, distribution, SEO, Sam, of course. Gosh, I can't think of one company out there that I would go to and say, like, yeah, no, this won't impact you. Like, it can benefit you if you're willing to open up, learn it, and um, allow yourself to kind of trust and dive into this, because it can free up significant amounts of time. One example, quick example for those in like the services industry, if you're in the consumer facing and you get lots of calls and scheduling and all of that stuff, there are agents out there, and I don't use that term lightly. Like, this is one use case where agents make sense, is people are calling in and they want to schedule and book an appointment, and it's kind of out there on its own. That exists today and is reliable enough to leverage in your business and save you hours of time per day from having to answer the phone, follow up with voicemails, all that stuff like that exists today. And the follow ups can be done via text message and other phone calls and things. So that's out there. If you have someone or you're doing all the answering of all your calls and scheduling, you no longer have to do that. That's something that you can pay for AI to do.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, let's switch
Hand it over to you
over.
now.
Yeah, let's do let's talk some SEO. I know the last few episodes, we've been diving into some kind of advanced level Python scripts, but really what I want to talk about today is probably a great kind of part two to what Shane just presented. Um, the use case here. So, well, let's start with who this lesson is really for. For anyone working in um, a SaaS business, if you're a SaaS marketer, even more applicable to you. Um, but honestly, even any business that has a website that wants to better understand their customers and potential customers, I think this use case will be very interesting for you to listen through. And so, what this workflow is going to do, it helps you extract true customer insights. In my line of business, it was the SEO person's job to not only understand the target persona based on any studies or research that was already performed by the company, but we always tended to use standard forms of keyword research and audience research to better understand what people are searching for, what kind of pain points they have. And it was a highly effective method to better understanding your audience. Now, with the SEO industry changing so much, where people aren't really searching in a lexical way, and what I mean by lexical, I've mentioned this in the past, was how we used to search on Google. Best team performance software. Where can I buy running shoes near me? Those aren't the types of searches people are performing anymore. Although there's probably a lot of still performing searches like that. The prompts, the length of these prompts are getting longer and longer. The context is getting greater and greater. And so the methods that the SEO practitioners need to now learn and deploy to better understand their audience has to change a little bit. And so this workflow is just one in probably hundreds of thousands of different ways to better understand what your customers and potential customers are searching for, what their pain points are, and how they're trying to solve for them. So let me go ahead, share my screen. Hopefully my screen share works. I don't think I'll be able to walk through this without it. So we'll see.
All right, I got
Please.
your screen.
All right, cool. All right, so like I said, there's probably 100 thousands of different ways to do this. But let's focus in on an example website, example brand. Let's take Webflow as an example. So really thinking about the SaaS marketers out there. Instead of only relying on keyword research, there's ways for us to now better understand our customers. One way that I've found for SaaS brands that's been highly effective is to leverage the G2 website. So the G2 website is um, a review-based website for software. So let's go to the Webflow profile for G2. And what I found to be really, really helpful is the review section. It's real people leaving reviews talking about what they liked, what they didn't like, what the platform solved for. It has some information on who the reviewer is, what kind of company that they work at, their title. So this is all really, really valuable information about who our audience is, right? These are people that have purchased the platform and were motivated enough, whether it was good or bad or neutral, to leave a review. So, from an SEO person's perspective, this should get you very excited about because it provides you a great source of data to extract potential marketable insights from. So, now that we have an area where we know our customers have been having not necessarily conversations, but leaving their thoughts, how do we really leverage AI to extract all of this information at scale? So if you look at the URLs after you clicked on reviews, you'll see that there's a hash fragment and reviews appended to it. If you scroll down a little bit and you click on page 2, you'll see that it updates to this URL string. So me knowing, I think there's a limit. If you're on the free version of Notebook LM, I think you get a maximum up to 50 source material. So what we want to do here is grab the first 50 URLs that point to the review section of Webflow's G2. So let's just do that in an Excel spreadsheet. We'll grab the first review URL, drop that in. Let's look for a bit of a pattern so we don't have to do this so manually. Let's go to page 2, grab that, and let's grab page 3 just so that we're being thorough. All right, so we've got the URL strings here. We need 50 of these, right? So there's probably tons of ways to do this, but let's go ahead and just use a simple concatenate for this. We'll grab the before and afters. We'll put numerical values for the pages. Grab the first 50. Bring those down. Bring all these together. All right, so now we've got a clean list of the first 50, well, 51, so we'll get rid of one. The first 50 pages of all the reviews for Webflow on G2. So now that we have that, let's go to Notebook LM. We'll create a new notebook. I have one created, but I'll just show you how to set this up. And Shane, this is your realm here. If you have any suggestions, jump in at any point. Look, there's a whole host of different sources that we could drop in here, right? Google Docs, Google Slides, PDF documents, so on and so forth. What we have right now is a list of links. So we'll click on website, drop in our 50 links, and hit insert. You'll have to wait a little bit for all the sources to populate. We won't wait for that. I've already pre-filled a notebook. So you'll see all the first 50 pages of G2 here. And, let me refresh the chat here. But what you'll see is an empty notebook, and now you can start prompting and working with Notebook LM to extract any type of insight that you're looking for. And so let's take an example of this freelancer page that Webflow currently has. It's speaking to obviously a freelancer. It has some great content, right? It has really charged title to this page of, you're not just a team of one. Sorry, you are a team of one, but that does not have to slow you down in providing services to your clients. Down here, you get some really positive um, messaging around what the capabilities are within this tool for a freelance designer to do what he or she does, right? You can create pixel perfect sites every single time, create complex animations, etc., etc. So as an SEO with Notebook LM, now with a truly great knowledge base filled with real customer reviews, let's say that this page just wasn't performing and converting the way that we expected it to. So we're now talking internally, hey, what can we do to update and enhance this page a little bit? Just from experience, I know that a page like this, though the most important thing is to focus on the positive kind of unlocks and solutions that you get from this software, I think one missed area of opportunity for a page like this for this brand is to really build some rapport with the individual freelancer and connect with them about some of the pain points that they've had working with other CMS solutions out there. So maybe that's one area that we'll update on this page. And this Webflow, sorry, this Notebook LM notebook allows me to bring something to the table internally. Whereas in the past, I probably needed to have, several meetings with the product team, maybe talk to the sales organization or the sales lead to talk about, what they know in terms of speaking with actual customers. What are some of the pain points? How has Webflow solved for those pain points? It historically took a lot of time to extract that level of information, and there was probably a lot of margin of error, right? Just from word of mouth translation, were the notes taken correctly, things of that nature. Whereas now we can rely on either source material from G2, maybe there's internal documents, maybe there's gong calls that are being recorded that we can populate into a Notebook LM. And that gives me so much autonomy to do all of this prerequisite research to then bring it to the team and say, hey, maybe this is something from a content perspective that would help this page convert a little bit better. So let's bring in an example prompt here. Shane, don't laugh at me with this prompt. I'm sure this prompt could be so much better. But let's give one just as an example. I'm curious about what sort of pain points these reviewers, specifically freelance reviewers, have left in their reviews. And yeah, I think let's just start there and see what it returns. If it's not to our liking, then we can continue to have a conversation with the notebook. So the prompt here is, what are the top 3 to 5 pain points amongst freelancers that Webflow has solved for? When you return that info to me, also provide some real phrases that reviewers used in describing their pain points. That goes back to the bit that I said around how keyword research is becoming an old practice. Um, I want to know exactly what people are saying and typing when they're talking about Webflow for their freelancing business. And so that's why I added that second bit to this prompt. And so let's see what Notebook LM returns here. I found that the more sources you have, kind of makes sense. The longer it takes for these responses to come back, but it's worth the wait. It's definitely worth the wait. So we'll give it a few
Yeah, and
seconds here.
I think this is a really great application for this. As I'm watching you do this, I can't really think of a faster way. The only thing that popped into my mind is, and it might take longer to do it this way than you actually did it quickly in your Excel file, which is another point. But in agent mode, especially for ChatGPT 5 now, you can have it go do a bunch of research for you and return back. So I haven't trialed it specifically around going to retrieve multiple pages worth of reviews, but in theory, we could prompt ChatGPT 5 in agent mode to go out to G2, that specific website, and then click through and gather all that information and then put all of the reviews into one TXT file or a markdown file, and then upload that single file into Notebook LM. And that may be a way to extract and get even more reviews. But to be honest with you, it's a trade off because then also agent mode is a bit slow and clunky right now. It's going to get better like pretty soon, not too distant future. It's going to be very, very good. But I think the way that you're doing it right now makes the most sense and is really the best balance of performance and data quantity versus speed, right? Because you can just run that concatenate in the spreadsheet in a matter of a minute or two versus the agent is going to take a while to do that. So
Yeah. No, I love that because that is one limitation right now that I see with this workflow where we are just limited to 50 source URLs. Of course, I can upgrade my subscription. I think I forget how much the upgraded subscription is. It's not a Notebook LM subscription. I think it's a Google AI subscription. I think it's a lot more expensive than just a $20 ChatGPT Plus subscription, but that would unlock the 50 source limit challenge there. But yeah, I do like that option of like bringing in more review URLs into one file. Um, is there a limit to how many times you can use the agent functionality right now in ChatGPT?
yeah, there is a limit. And I forget because you can also have it run just tasks for you. So it can set recurring tasks that run like prompts that will run. And then there is the agent mode. I think it's 30 right now on the plus, it's 39 requests per month in agent mode. And one point there is like in theory, it could go out and scrape and get all the actual text from all the reviews and throw them into the one file, and then you could even go to multiple have it go to multiple review sites or sources and scrape all that and make separate markdown files or txt files and then upload those in there. But yeah, I mean, the I'm not sure about the reliability and the amount of time it would take to do that, but it's certainly advertised as a task that would be something it could go and do for you.
Nice. Good stuff. All right. Okay, so we got our response here. Let's just do a quick scan of what we got. Um, got relying again, we're talking about what are those pain points, right? So we're trying to elicit emotional response from the freelancer who's reading this page. So it's a negative emotion, but it also subtly shows that we know what their pain points are, which puts us in a great position to provide a software that unlocks those pain points for them. So I see reliance on coding skills and developers and design limitations. So as a designer, you might have challenges with other CMSs where you have to bring on a developer under contract to do some of the design updates that you're wanting to see. Slow and inefficient website development process, kind of in the same boat. Complex client management and website updates. I actually resonate with this a little bit where CMS is like WordPress, where they're super reliant on plugins. It's a bit of a safety issue, lacks customization versus a CMS that allows you to do a lot more without reliance on plugins. So I think this is probably a top thing, top pain point that a lot of people that end up with Webflow came to Webflow because of high website maintenance and technical overhead, fragmented workflow and tooling. So I think you can start to understand the sense of how quickly we can get some starter material to talk about those pain points. And, of course, this is not an end all be all solution, right? This is for you as an SEO to then bring something to the table when we talk about enhancing this page of, hey, maybe there's an extra module that we need where we line out all of the pain points that freelancers are dealing with to build trust. And then we can do a bit of an A B test to see if that actually improves conversion rate on the page, things of that nature. But I just think it's such a powerful tool. I have been using this for all my SaaS clients when it comes to net new page builds or existing pages that we want to reoptimize. Um, I think arguably the first thing that everyone looks at also is this top title on a page as well. So I just wanted to give it a try on Webflow and dropped in another prompt earlier today. So just for the sake of messing around with Notebook LM a little bit more, let's do one last prompt here. Um, the prompt reads, "I'm working on a solutions page. We have that's geared towards freelancers. The current H1 reads, don't let being a team of one slow you down based on the source material." Um, Is this a sentence that might resonate with freelancers? If you think there are better options that would make the page more engaging and convert better, provide those options. So you can really get prescriptive on what you want to change, what you want to test. And again, this is all coming from source material that contains true customer data. This is not you fabricating things. I would encourage you to sense check this with a sales lead internally, with the product manager, things that we always do as a good SEO. But this again allows you to come to the table with much more prescription um, and some additional data that helps your recommendations have a bit more weight to it. So let's just see what Notebook LM return. I'm just kind of curious now. I agree. I like this title. Don't let being a team of one slow you down. I think it has a lot of meaning to it. Let's see what other top pain points we could leverage to replace that. Again, reliance on coding skills. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to say that this is a very low code, you don't need a developer type solution. Seems like that's a common thing that reviewers are talking about. This is pretty cool. They provide some alternative H1s just right off the bat. Unleash your design. I find some of these corny, but it at least gets the mind running a little bit. Gives you a couple of ideas to run with. Um, the power of code without writing it, unhindered by code. There's another pain point around slow development process. Build and launch website in hours, not weeks. Kind of cheesy, but develop client websites faster than ever. Stop waiting, start building.
Yeah, and I would say one thing to layer on here. Well, there's a few really major concepts here. One is data, and now we should start thinking about every conversation, every meeting, capturing those words and the conversations, because that is data there, and there's a lot of information and context and real value that can be drawn out of those conversations now from the transcripts. And this is an example of that, where it's not necessarily a meeting, but it's a review site, and these are reviews from real people. So this gives you real hard data insights that we can now extract using AI. And that's one of the big things that I always try and get people to understand, is we can now interact with AI in a conversational way and extract really, really powerful insights based on data. Before, this would have been either a very custom software to crawl these websites and synthesize that information to give you actionable insights, or it would have just taken somebody a lot of time to copy and paste and manually extract keywords and things that are counted within those reviews, where now we have these actionable insights and we're able to converse with the data. So that's huge. And then the other part now that struck me is, so Notebook LM is great about insights and pulling this information out, but the thing where it's going to struggle with is because of the way it's processing the local data here. It's not going to have good tonality. It's not going to be crafty and have the right wording and contextual engagement that you would want from something that's going to help you rewrite some of this content. And that's where Claude is certainly a front runner, and then you can certainly make ChatGPT, Gemini, and others. You can develop custom projects based upon your tone and your brand, and that's kind of your company or your personal IP of how you do things, perform, behave, talk, interact, all of that, your values, your mission, your core values, all those things can be integrated into something like a project or a custom AI deployment where it has reference to all of that information. And then you take these outputs, put it into that, and then it kind of processes it and gives you a much more humanized, representative headings or context and information that you can then put into the, approve it and kind of polish it, but it will get you a lot closer by leveraging this notebook LM output into another basically processor that you have trained on your voice, your tone, all of those things.
Yeah, I love that. Or in the tone of voice that's guided by, a business's brand guidelines.
Yep.
That would be such a great process. Very, very powerful process to consider. I love that point. Thanks for that. Cool. Well, that kind of wraps it up. Look, again, I just want to recap by saying keyword research is important, but it's not the most important method now to better understand your customers. We really need to get dialed in with the data sources that we have available to us, whether it's on external third-party websites like a G2 or internal first-party data that we have in the form of Zoom meetings, Gong calls, any internal documentation that we can better leverage to extract these customer insights. And then, of course, having your choice LLM for the specific use case. I think I started off with Notebook LM. Shane just mentioned a great addition here in terms of taking what a Notebook LM gave us, but now layering in, a large language model that's much better at taking this information and presenting it in a much more natural sounding way based on certain inputs, whether it's your tone of voice, things of that nature. So keep this one in mind. Again, this was for a SaaS brand, but look, I think it applies to all businesses. All businesses have a target persona, they have customers, they have prospects out there. And as an SEO, it's our job at our core to understand our customers and, of course, then layer in all of the SEO tactical things to make those insights marketable data for us. So hopefully this was helpful for you all. No real standard operating procedure document with this one, so hopefully this one helped. But of course, if you ever need another walkthrough or just want to chat through any limitations that you see, or even some enhancements that you see based on, or enhancements that you see beyond what we're just doing here, happy to sync up and would love to hear your guys' thoughts as well.
Nice. And just to remind the reviewers, where can they reach you easiest?
Easiest, LinkedIn, Samuel Lee.
KeyRise Consulting.
KeyRise Consulting.
Perfect.
Yep, that's where I'm the most active, and yeah, would love to hear from anyone there.
Awesome. Thanks. This is a blast. This was a really good one.
All right. I think that wraps it up for the day. Shane, thank you for your knowledge today. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I think we've got loads more to unpack in future episodes where we're really just getting started, guys. We're just getting started. We're getting our feet under ourselves. And, the industry is changing so much day in and day out, whether it's AI, SEO, engineering. And, we're getting a kick out of just staying on top of it and presenting some free value to the group here. So looking forward to more fruitful and positive sessions moving forward.
Yeah, give us a review, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll keep bringing this excellent content to you all so you can follow along and stay up to speed.